Next episode, Call of Duty goes back to Modern Warfare. Will there be another year for Tokyo Vice? And who are the winners and losers of the NFL draft? All this and more as we once again delve into the pop culture cosmos. And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. This is Gerald Glasser from Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our shows. And if you can, please give us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, the Lakers Fast Break, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, Game Source, the great folks at Humanica Media, PopCultureCosmos.com, and also Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook, where we are the number one, numero uno, tabletop RPG streamer right there for you. Plus, we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every day right there on Facebook at Pop Culture Cosmos. And if you could support all of that we do at Pop Culture Cosmos, it is sincerely appreciated. But it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos without my good friend. He is our own Modern Warfare for Humanica Media. You got to go ahead and check out what he's doing today at Humanica Media, also as well popculturecosmos.com. His great shows, Topicocalypse and the Super BS Gamescast, plus his amazing book, which is available right now at Amazon and Barnes & Noble, entitled Congratulations, You Suck. It is my good friend. It is Josh Peterson. What's up, man?
What is up? I know we got a full plate today. I just want to run through a couple interesting things that happened in the gaming world right
You
now.
got it.
Ubisoft, private equity firms looking to buy Ubisoft. So kind of
Mhm.
out of left field here, right? We have it's not Sony or Microsoft looking to buy them. It's a private firm, and I know
Well, their intent would be just to sell it over to a Sony or Microsoft
oh,
or whoever at some point
absolutely.
in
I know
time.
there's a company that did the mobile games before that was looking at buying out shares of their stock in order to do, I guess, what's called a hostile takeover of the company.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. I don't know what came of that, but also, we always talked about the PlayStation being number one. It looks like Xbox is actually the quarter one's best-selling platform in dollars made.
Absolutely. Yeah, and dollars made indeed. Yeah, it had the best March for them in almost 11 years. Actually, 11 years. For March 2011, I think was the last time during the Xbox 360 era. Also, the first March for the Xbox One. They had not made that kind of money since, and now you're seeing that because the availability of the Xbox Series S and also in limited quantities the Xbox Series X over the PlayStation 5, you're seeing people that are really trying to snap it up. So yes, they
Mhm.
made more dollars than anyone. Nintendo Switch still sold more units, but the dollar amounts, you know what? The revenue, at the end of the
In
day,
Microsoft's
X
favor, yeah.
yep. So it just shows you that Microsoft is still in this race, and I think that in the long run could be the best thing and the best component out there because of the fact that the Xbox Games Pass is still the best thing going in gaming today.
Yeah, and last thing here, everyone's kind of breathing a sigh of relief right now, it seems, because Microsoft announced a summer gaming showcase with Bethesda. We just have this, we've talked about this before. You have this like long span of time until Starfield comes out where there's like 0 games scheduled.
Oh, you
So
know they're going to come out. It's in lieu of E3, which I'm still very
yeah,
disappointed it's not being available this year. But you know, Microsoft, Nintendo, Sony, and most of the major publishers and distributors out there are going to have some kind of news conference around the middle of this year to go ahead
mhm,
and showcase whatever they need to showcase. So I'm
yeah,
expecting all of them to go ahead and do something of that nature at some point in
yeah,
time.
and there's got to be, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of announcements of stuff coming out before years end. That's kind of
Yeah,
what we're
absolutely.
looking at
Yeah.
here.
One
Um,
last thing though, you got a chance to check out the Secrets of Dumbledore. Okay, you told me you would let us know about how good or bad it was, so let me know.
I I liked it. It
Okay,
was sorry, am I echoing?
you're good.
Okay,
You're
sorry.
losing. You're losing a little bit of
Yeah,
internet.
that's what I was asking. Yeah, no, I this might make be an unpopular opinion, but I enjoyed it. You know, it wasn't an amazing movie by any stretch of the imagination. The stories, the narrative is all over the place, but as far as like quality of film goes, like I thought it was a pretty good movie, you know, and like they wrapped up a lot of things that had been happening and they kind of made a lot of references to Harry Potter. So everything that like makes that world feel so rich, you know, they did a good job of, I don't know, like making that world still feel like there was so much left to explore in it. And it was so much better than Crimes of Grindelwald. I honestly, and we've talked about this before, I just think that people aren't being objective. The reviewers aren't being objective when they're going into it, because I was expecting this to be like a really horrible movie just based on what I've read about it. And I ended up being pleasantly surprised by it. Yeah, it's got a really long runtime, but it's it's better. I think it's probably the best of the three that I've seen so far, is in terms of, you know, they have all the like shadowy Death Eater type things. They have a lot of magical duels, a lot of magical creatures. Like I don't know, it just seemed like they brought all the greatest elements of the Harry Potter universe together and made a movie. Like I said, that was, it's not a 10 by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't think it's a 4 either. You know, I'd probably give it like a 7
Okay, well
I
there
were
you go.
if I were rating it.
No
Anyways,
worries.
give it a try. Honestly, like I know a lot of people are gonna wait till it like streams, but you know, one like if you're wanting to see it, it's worth watching in movie theaters. But yeah, just give it a shot. You know, just don't listen to everything else out there. Go out and make your own opinion about it, because I thought it was going to be awful, and I ended up being pleasantly surprised by it.
Well, there you go. There you have it. If you have thoughts on The Secrets of Dumbledore, please go ahead and let us know. If you're interested in this fantastic beast, if you've had good things to say about it, or if you didn't like it, please let us know. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Wanted to go ahead and mention for today's show, we got a lot of things on tap where we're going to be talking about Halo Episode 6. And is it time to get back into Halo? Or why would you get back into Halo after Episode 6? So we'll talk about that. Tokyo Vice, Episode 8, ended its season. Did it end its series? We'll see what happens there. We'll talk about that on the back end of the show. Moon Knight Episode 5 as well. Got a chance to go ahead and check that out. So we'll talk about that. Our Doctor Strange preview and predictions. Those predictions for Doctor Strange and the multiverse of madness, that comes up on the back end of the show. But we wanted to go ahead and make sure we let you know as well that Dawn Fobbs is back for her April TV update, or actually May TV update. She's back for her May TV update. That's going to be coming up here in a bit. Plus, also as well, the winners and losers of the NFL draft that just took place the past few days here in Las Vegas. Chris Ardieri and Dom Lardieri of the Domination Sports Nation is here on the back end of the show talking about the NFL draft. But first, my friend, it is Justin Lin and John Watts, two outstanding and very successful directors. Justin Lin, who is all over the place as far as producing, from horror movies to the Fast and Furious, and directing all of the most, and directing a good portion of that as well. He's been director for several Fast and Furious movies. He is out. He has left over creative differences. John Watts, who is still raking in the cash from Spider Man No Way Home, he's out over creative differences on Fantastic Four. So, your thoughts on these two major directors leaving these two very vaunted projects?
I can't even imagine how much of a nightmare it must be to direct a Fast and the Furious movie. You know, we've seen this happen before. There's just so much turmoil. Like it's ironic that the whole franchise is about family, but you hear about all this like drama and turmoil and just chaos behind the scenes. I can see Justin Lin. I mean, I'm surprised he still was even signed on to do this movie, because he's done the same movies and he's done them over and over again. But there's two possibilities here. One, you have
I could tell you why. It's
the
called
Right,
Casheroony.
right, but I mean, seems like he's got enough to kind of get him through forever. But you have the studio. It's either the studio that's being like, "Hey, we want to take this bigger and bigger and better and farther than it's ever gone before," and he's like, "I don't know if I can, as a director, if I can make that make sense." Or you have this issue where it seems like Vin Diesel is one of the biggest producers on this franchise, and he just seems to be um, very controlling when it comes to what happens in these movies. And I wonder if there's some headbutting between Justin Lin and Vin Diesel, just like there was with The Rock and Vin Diesel.
Sounds like there could be that possibility. And with John Watts, what are your thoughts there, my friend?
That one's a little more difficult because John Watts, he does great things with movies involving teenagers, and I don't know where Fantastic Beast, not Fantastic Beast, Fantastic Four is. I don't know where that movie's going to go or how it's going to start. That franchise is, ever since the Josh Trank one came out, has been cursed. Nobody's wanted to touch it, and I can't imagine. John Watts has a very particular style of filmmaking, and I'm wondering if that was just not. He read the script and maybe his style of filmmaking just didn't mesh with what Marvel was looking for.
Looks like that to be the case, but hopefully they'll get in a director like we're going to see this week at Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, where a new director comes in. Maybe it will make it just as entertaining. Maybe we'll make it better. We'll see. You never know. There could be a lot of things that goes on now, but I believe it will probably not slow the production down. I think that it will still come out when it's intended to, along the lines. I know that Kevin Feige recently announced at CinemaCon he is mapping out the next 10 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe at the present time. So I believe they have a point in line where Fantastic Four comes along the way. I don't think they'll slow it down. Worst comes to worst, they'll do what they did last week that they announced with Ant-Man 3 and the Marvels, where they swapped their release dates. They just said, okay, Ant-Man 3, you're moving up. The Marvels, you're moving
Yeah.
back for whatever issues creatively or production wise. So I have a feeling that Fantastic Four will stay on track in some form or fashion.
It's weird because I think Fantastic Four has the ability to be a great movie and a great I guess separate franchise here, but um, I don't know. It's so the story's been told so many times, much like the Spider-Man origin story's been told so many times that it's really going to have the right story coming out the gate in this reboot in order to be something that's wildly successful. I'm also curious though, as Marvel used to be a company that was really great at bringing in these artistic directors. We had Kenneth Branagh, we had what was his name, Edgar Wright for some of Ant-Man, Scott Derrickson. Now we have Sam Raimi. You have all these directors who are good in certain fields and bringing certain spins to certain properties. But I wonder if, as the MCU goes on and gets bigger and we're expanding and there's more like tightness because it has to stick to a certain continuity, I'm curious if we're going to have more issues with creative differences involving directors.
I think it's just the same thing that goes along with the Star Wars universe, where we've seen several directors leave the projects of several Star Wars movies. It's just that there's a certain adherence that you have to maintain with the lore, or that is expected to maintain with the lore by the studio itself that they expect. And as a creative individual, it's hard for these directors to go ahead sometimes and stay within those barriers and stay
Yeah.
within those lines. And unfortunately, that's what we're seeing with the departure of John Watts. As with Justin Lin, maybe it's just the fact he's just been there so long, directing so many different films, that at some point in time there's a parting of the ways as far as the vision for the final two, supposedly, and I'm quoting on that, putting that in quotations, the final two Fast and Furious films. So we'll see what happens. At least the ones with the current roster of familiar faces that we see right now. So I'm
Yeah.
seeing that. Yeah, I think you're right. I think Vin Diesel has a lot to say in what happened and what went on in regards to departure. That's just speculation on our part, but I have a feeling that might be the case.
Yeah. And I mean, I can't even imagine just how difficult it would be to direct somebody like Vin Diesel, who has a very, um, I guess you could say, a big head. Like he's very he seems like a nice guy, but as far as like his visions go, like he seems like he's very I don't know, like focused on what he wants as opposed to what everybody else thinks might be good. What's the word for that? Like you're
Well, he's very focused. He has a certain vision that he sees the Fast and Furious. Maybe a certain formula that he sees, and sometimes it's hard to get everybody else to go along with it.
yeah, I guess like when it comes to vision, there's like a kind of a selfishness there, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
In the nicest way possible.
What are your thoughts out there on Justin Lin and John Watts leaving the F10, aka the Fast and Furious 10 movie, also as well Fantastic Four. What are your thoughts on who might replace these directors in the big chairs for these upcoming blockbusters? Please let us know. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, before we hit the break, my friend, and Don Fobbs with our May TV update, wanted to go ahead and let you know that Infinity Ward and Activision, or you could say Microsoft Activision, has announced that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is on the way. It's this year's installment of the Call of Duty franchise. I know that there's already been a Modern Warfare 2. Yes, we get that. But in the revamped, renewed version, because a new Call of Duty Modern Warfare came out just what, I think in 2019, that this is going to be the sequel to that and not be like a retouched version of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I believe that that's the case. So, your thoughts on this new re-envisioned master or remastering or re-envisioning of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 or whatever it is they're going to do? I don't know, but I think it's just going to be continuing the new updated adventure for Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Yeah, because it's weird. Because I thought that we already had like a Modern Warfare 3 or 2 or whatever. I thought that
Well, we
was
did, but the previous versions, I think that's Call of Duty Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3. Now this is they went in 2019. They went to a Call of Duty Modern Warfare, going back into that world, and they I don't know.
so
It's
it's
really
like
hard.
like a reboot, I
Yeah,
guess, or
I don't know.
a retitling.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know, man. I just my feelings on the Call of Duty franchise.
yeah.
I What was interesting to me was that it sounds like they're trying to merge a few of these rogue properties that they have, not properties, but rogue storylines. Because I don't know if you saw with the Modern Warfare, they're advertising it using characters from Call of Duty Ghosts. So I'm wondering if they're trying to bring some of this uh, I wonder if they're trying to build lore, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like they're trying to build lore by incorporating characters from games that didn't sell as well and kind of creating this connected Call of Duty universe. In which case, I'm all for that because I think that I Call of Duty is not my game, But I mean, if they were to create a connected story, like a narrative that'd be interesting to someone who only likes single player games, and that might be something I could like see myself playing at some point.
It's so funny because the best way to describe it to people out there that this is the 10th variation of a Modern Warfare game for Call of Duty, but as PC Gamer says, officially it's the fifth Call of Duty Modern Warfare is called Modern Warfare 2, but not to be confused with Modern Warfare 2.
I know.
So,
That's what I thought because I remember back it was back when we first started this
yep.
thing or even back when we were still doing Game Source, like there was I remember spending a lot of time extensively talking about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and I didn't know this was weird to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is exactly very weird, but I guess it's a new re-envisioning of the series that extends itself from the 2019 version. So I think it's just banking on the Modern Warfare name because it's been the most successful name in the Call of Duty world. So we'll see what happens there. But are you interested for this version of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 as opposed to the previous version of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2? Please let us know. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Well, coming up after the break, it is Don Fobbs from the Mother Daughter Ish podcast. She's stopping by for our May TV update. And also, as well, right after that, is going to be Chris and Dom Lardieri from the Domination Sports Nation talking about the winners and losers of the NFL draft. And on the back end, it's Josh and I talking about Halo, talking about Moon Knight, and talking about Tokyo Vice and our final thoughts on the week of Doctor Strange 2. We're going to talk about Doctor Strange as well. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we're back to close out the show. It's the Pop Culture Cosmos. Want to thank so much Don Fobbs and Chris and Dom Lardieri for stopping by on the program today. Make sure you check us out on Friday because Melinda Barkhouse Ross and I will go ahead and talk Doctor Strange ad nauseum because it's going to be the release of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness coming up on the PC Multiverse. So that's looking forward to that. And I might even have a review of the movie as well. So that's gonna be checking that out later this week. But for right now, Josh, before we head on out, you told me and you sent me a message about Halo Episode 6. I did check it out, and I know the word going around is maybe people should finally get back into Halo.
Yeah, it's kind of deep into the series to have like the groundbreaking episode, but I feel like it was pretty solid. You know, it had a lot of very humanizing elements to it, and a show that up until this point it seemed like they were just kind of like giving fan service and barely scratching beneath the surface of what this giant world is capable of delivering in terms of a scripted narrative. But now, you know, we have parts in there, and you know, I'm going to spoil a little bit where Master Chief tries to kill Halsey, and then you have this like awakening of, you know, the Spartans have now realized that they were kidnapped as children.
And she's
You
been
have the
and she's been sequestered to a condominium.
She's been sequestered to a condominium, but she somehow managed to tap into Cortana. Nobody really knows whose team Cortana is on at the moment. We learned that Cortana can't actually take over Master Chief's body. So that was something that he was trying to test by threatening to kill Halsey. I don't know.
And well, can I ask you a question? Is it just time for him to just throw away the helmet in the trash?
I know he never wears it anymore. It's so weird.
That's what
But
I mean.
also, we don't have a lot of episodes that have legitimate battles on them. You know, it's
Well,
like
money, man.
I just like I don't let's I know, but I mean, why bother making a show like this if you're not going to have the stuff that makes Halo Halo?
I know. Well, I'll tell you what, it's very interesting, but I will agree with you that this episode I kind of liked it, and it's the first time I've actually been able to say that. But if you're asking someone to get back into it after, at 6 episodes in, that's a tough ask, my friend. That's a really tough ask.
Yeah. You know, and they did the thing. They did the thing that I was wondering if
Yes.
they were going to do. They showed the Master Chief and that other girl on Halo, but then Master Chief ever so lightly caresses the Covenant girl's
Yeah.
face, and you're
The
like,
human lady that's not any part of any of the lore in previous games.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
they
you're like,
totally made up.
there's the love story. There's gonna be
Oh,
a romance line between the two of
and
them.
I did not want that.
I
And
didn't want it either. I thought the great part about this show, despite all of its shortcomings, was the fact that it didn't slow itself down with romantic interest. But now they did the thing, right?
I
And we
think it was going to
know,
be well, maybe it was going to be him and the other Spartan, the one with the colored hair at
yeah.
best.
I actually like her character. You know, I don't know about like she's just
She's okay, absolutely. I can dig it. But the thing is, they did showcase their first time that you get to actually see Halo. So we'll go ahead and see what happens there. But it is Halo Episode 6. We actually kind of liked it for the first time that we can say all series, but it's a tough ask. Are you going to go back into Halo? Are you going to return to the world of Halo? If anytime, you might as well do it now because this was the best episode in the series and it's not even close, and that's not saying a whole lot. So
mhm.
please let us know your thoughts on Halo, Pop Culture Cosmos at yahoo.com. Moon Knight episode 5, we got a showcase for Oscar Isaac as he delves deeper into the psyche of his own self, but also as well learns that, spoilers, he could be dead as well as he travels the underworld for the way that it goes as far as the death is concerned. He has to make several decisions and go back into his life and discover his memories of how he actually came to be with Stephen Grant and Mark Spector, and how who is the real one and who is not. So your thoughts on episode 5 of Moon Knight? It was a showcase for the emotional I guess, parting of the ways per se between Stephen Grant and Mark Spector. Plus, you got a whole lot of background on how he came to be. But your thoughts on Moon Knight Episode 5, a really strong episode with a strong performance from Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, it was good. Everyone said that this was like the best thing that one or sorry, one of the like greatest things that the MCU has ever created. And I don't necessarily know if I agree with that.
I
It
don't.
was like I don't know if
It's a good
it's
series. I don't call it agreeing.
yeah, well, not the series itself, but just this episode, like I'm reading Polygon and IGN and all that stuff. And yeah, it's like it's good, it's tragic, it's incredibly tragic, it's very
Yeah.
sad. But it's not like it's not not beautiful. It's not like amazing by any stretch of the imagination. They did a good job of like telling the backstory of the two characters, but there's a lot of things in it that were very confusing and didn't really make sense.
Well, I
You
think
know,
that's part of the reason why this series is good but not great is that it doesn't completely tell you everything throughout the series. There's parts and pieces and parts of it that always leave you in some kind of
right.
doubt, questioning yourself, what's going on. It's very hard to follow at times. So I think that that's probably what's holding it back from greatness, in my opinion.
Right, but I also feel like they do that so often that sometimes they forget that they have these random pieces of thread laying out that they forget to connect to things.
Yeah.
Like on the boat in this episode, she goes, "Oh no, the rogue souls are coming down without being judged," and they're like, "All right,
The
well now
Hippo
we."
God.
Yeah, the hippo god, and they're like, "Okay, well now we got to balance the scales, blah blah blah," and then after that they come out and what the souls just stop flying from the sky. Like there's no, they just kind of like, okay, well that happened, and now everything's back to what it was. You're still gonna get dragged off the boat or whatever, but it's just I don't know. There's just a lot in there that doesn't seem to connect to things, and they just kind of like leave it there.
I think it is the best episode of the series. Again, it makes a good series even better, but I don't think it's the best series. I don't think it beats Hawkeye. In fact, I know that the series itself, as far as viewing, I don't know. It just depending on who you go to, either it's doing really well or it's not doing as well as Hawkeye. I can tell you the latest Nielsen numbers project that it is not doing quite as well as Hawkeye is. So I know that people are not quite as interested. It's seemingly, according to Nielsen, that in Moon Knight, but we'll wait and see. Again, this is supposed to be just a showcase and introduction for you out there on the Moon Knight character because he's going to be developed in future movies down the road as far as become a part of that. So we'll see what happens with Moon Knight, but it is a
Yeah.
very emotional turn for Oscar Isaac, his characters, Stephen Grant and Mark Spector.
Yeah.
One, unfortunately, meets what we think is a demise, but we'll wait and see because the last episode is coming up this week as well. So a big week for Marvel ahead. But what
Mhm.
are your thoughts out there on episode 5 of Moon Knight? Please let us know. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. But last but not least on the episode recap is the final episode of Tokyo Vice for the season, and I'm hoping not for the series. HBO has yet to make a decision on Tokyo Vice. It ended up the last 20 minutes are really strong. Getting there was a little bit convoluted, but as I've told you, Josh, when it focuses on the crime story and the underworld and the battles between the police and the underworld and the backstabbing, the betrayals, the things of that nature, you get to see a lot of chess matches take place between the underworld, the yakuza, and the police, and then also Angle Esor, you get to see the involvement of Angle Esor, the his character. You got to see as far as how he investigation the newspaper investigation into this battle between the two. That way, the way it ends up is very strong. The problem is it wastes a good half hour on some sub stories, one of which though leads you into supposedly what's going to be investigated into next season, and that involves the club as far as a cohort of the lady who's trying to run her start her own club. You get to see unfortunately what happens to her friend, and that will lead you into next season if there is a next season. But they also have a sub story with one of the main yakuzas that you're fighting, who again is doing a fantastic job in other parts. He is bringing up this flunky yakuza that is just not cutting it, and gives him a chance to go ahead and leave the yakuza. It's just a part of the episode. It just really wasn't necessary. Focus in on what is good, which again is the only problem of the series. They don't have a tendency to focus the entire hour on what is good and what works. They put in some side stories that really just don't click. And again, this is a good series that could have been great if it had done just that.
So, I mean, the potential's there, right?
The
Is that what
potential
we're
is really there.
looking at? Okay,
Yeah,
so do you think now that the rules for the world have been established, the lore has been laid out, do you think that moving forward, the show could just be great? You know, and even if
I
you're
think
not
so.
someone who watched the first season, do you think the show could still be great for people jumping on at the point of the beginning of the second season?
I think so. I think so that it has the setup to be something really good, because at the very end it gives you a twist and gives them a twist. You did see it coming,
Yeah.
but it's a good twist that helps move the story along for next season. And it also again gives Ansel Elgort the reason. Does he stay or leave Tokyo? Does
Mhm.
he go and become a part of this investigation even further? You actually see it, yes, because it does the thing that actually we saw from Winning Time, where in the first scene of the series, it shows you a point in the time where it's going to end, or where they want it to end, and it hasn't reached that point yet. So there's still more to cover on the series. So you know that there's more series to come if they're allowed to. So I'm thinking that if you give it a chance, it will go ahead and flesh out that side. Hopefully more. You'll still see more sub stories. I think that will unfortunately muddy it up a little bit, but if they stay as focused as they can on the investigation and the backstabbing and the behind the scenes of the yakuza, that if they stick to that, that's really the best part of Tokyo Vice.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like I've said before, I do wanna find time to sit down and watch the show. It seems like HBO has so many original series out there, though, that they're kind of like I'm hoping that they're gonna be able to, like, make each one a unique storytelling experience and not create I guess Stars had this problem, remember, where they would have these critically acclaimed shows, but then they just keep pumping more and more content out there, and as the more content was released, the value of the production value of the other shows would start to go down. So I'm hoping that we don't reach a point where that happens with HBO Max.
Well, I think HBO and HBO Max, they produced a lot of series. They made a lot of series in the past 2 3 years during COVID, that they're
Mhm.
finally releasing now, because last year they were focusing on the day and date with HBO Max with the movies part of it. Now they're throwing
Right.
a whole bunch of TV shows at you and seeing what sticks. Our Flag Means Death is getting big numbers for HBO Max. I'm hoping Tokyo Vice is given that option to go ahead for a season two. I'm hoping that we'll be able to go ahead. Winning Time has already gotten a season two, but we
Mhm.
haven't heard yet on Tokyo Vice. So we'll see. We'll see what happens though. But I do recommend Tokyo Vice overall as a good show to watch. Not great, but good show to watch.
Yeah.
Ansel Elgort, I think I understand the controversy that surrounds him, but he did a solid job in this. Ken Watanabe is just awesome as always. It's Ken Watanabe.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, Rinko Kikuchi, then the moments that she's in it, she's really strong as well. So we'll see what happens with Tokyo Vice, but let us know your thoughts on Tokyo Vice, Pop Culture Cosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, it's been a great episode, but before we head on out, your thoughts on Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness before we head on out.
I actually have tickets to go see it next Saturday, so I am very excited about it. I don't know. I just like we talked about this a little bit earlier. Excited to see Sam Raimi jumping back into a Marvel related property because he does things that are out of the ordinary. I mean, anyone who's ever watched the Evil Dead movies knows that like Sam Raimi isn't afraid to take risks on things, and often those risks are so memorable. You know, whether or not they hit or miss, you still remember like, oh, remember when he did this in that movie. So I think that Doctor Strange is the perfect, especially with this multiverse of madness. I think it's the perfect property for him to kind of go experimenting with a few things. That being said, you know, we've seen a lot in the trailers. We've seen the Ultron robots. We've seen the what's his name from the first Doctor Strange movie. We've seen this the
Mordo.
Yeah, and we've seen Professor Xavier. They alluded to the Illuminati, so I know that's like Tony Stark and Reed Richards. So I'm just curious if they're going to be having who they're going to be, who's going to be playing these characters. You know, we're going to have the guy from the last Fantastic Four. We're going to go with John Krasinski. I don't know. And everyone's talking about, like, in the trailer or in the poster, right? They have a little thing from the X-Men '90s animated series or whatever. I don't know. There's just so many possibilities, and I'm excited about it. So this is going to be truly what brings all the old Marvel, like the entire Marvel world together of things that weren't connected before. So now when we're like, hey, we're gonna go watch all the Marvel films and watch them in order, we're gonna have to go all the way back to Blade, and we're gonna have to start like Blade 1, 2, Hulk, X-Men. You know, it's exciting.
Wouldn't that be so funny if they brought someone back from the Roger Corman Fantastic Four? That
Oh,
would be so fun.
didn't that movie get it? It was never released, wasn't it?
No, it was released, but it was so
Oh,
low budget.
and then I know
So
there's a Punisher with Dolph Lundgren.
yeah, there you go. There you go. They're doing a Flashpoint before Flashpoint with Marvel.
Right. This is smart though. I mean, it just like makes it feel it all the children are coming home, so to speak.
That they are indeed. But we are excited for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I'm hoping to catch it Thursday and share my thoughts on Thursday night. But please let us know your thoughts on Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the Pop Culture Cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great